Hello, Class 4-1 Orange Group. Mr. Waterman here with your lessons on Friday, July 16th, 2021 in periods 3 and 4. Hopefully today is the last day of online lessons, considering we only have 2 more days of the semester next week, next Tuesday and Wednesday. So fingers crossed that we will be back at school. In continuing with our mini unit on Fables, which I started earlier this week, I am going to read two more of my favorite fables today, which are classics, out of the book titled Fables by Arnold Lobel. Please remember, when you return to school, if you would like to borrow this book from my library in my classroom, I have several copies, okay? You're more than welcome to borrow it and take it home. All right. After, you will be completing the response sheet. Okay. You know what that is. We'll go over that in just a moment. Now, on to the fables. The title of the first fable is The Poor Old Dog. Okay. Now, I want you to study this picture very carefully. Okay. What do you see the poor old dog doing? Okay, think about where he is, think about what he's doing, and think about why he's doing it. Okay? Now, let's read. Listen very carefully, and please feel free to read along. The Poor Old Dog. There was an old dog who was very poor. The only coat he had to wear was mostly holes held together by ragged threads. He could feel the pebbles on the pavement through the thin soles of his tattered shoes. He slept in the park because he had no home. The dog spent most of his time searching in garbage cans. He found bits of string and buttons. These he sold for pennies to passers-by. The dog always walked with his nose close to the curb, looking for things to sell. That is how he came to find the gold ring that was lying in the gutter. "My luck has changed," cried the dog, "for I am sure that this is a magic ring." The dog rubbed the ring and said, "I wish for a new coat. I wish for new shoes. I wish for a house to live in. I wish these wishes would come true right now." But nothing happened. The dog felt the wind through the holes in his coat. He felt the pebbles under his thin shoes. That night, he slept on his usual bench in the park. Several days later, the dog saw a note on a lamppost. The note said, "Lost, gold ring, large reward. Mr. Terrier, 10 Wealthy Lane." The old dog hurried to Wealthy Lane. Mr. Terrier was overjoyed to have his ring returned. He thanked the dog profusely and gave him a bulging purse that was full of coins. The dog bought a warm fur coat. He bought a pair of good shoes with thick soles. There was a large amount of money left over. The dog used the rest of it as a down payment on a cozy little house. He moved right in and never had to sleep in the park again. He was very lucky finding that gold ring, wasn't he? Now, what did this fable teach us? Wishes on their way to coming true will not be rushed. Be patient. Good things will come in time to all of us who wait. Remember that. That was a lovely, lovely fable. Okay, now let's see what the next fable teaches us. I chose this one because we recently read a story about George and Martha in the Surprise, and we read a nonfiction story about hippos. So I thought it was only appropriate to read the next fable, the last for this little mini unit, about a hippopotamus. The title is The Hippopotamus at Dinner. Now take a look at him in this picture. Where is he? What do you think he is doing, and how do you think he feels? Let's find out. Please listen very carefully and feel free to read along. The Hippopotamus at Dinner. The hippopotamus went into a restaurant. He sat at his favorite table. "Waiter!" called the hippopotamus. "I will have the bean soup, the Brussels sprouts, and the mashed potatoes. Please hurry. I am enormously hungry tonight." In a short while, the waiter returned with the order. The hippopotamus glared down at his plate. "Waiter," he said, "do you call this a meal? These portions are much too small. They would not satisfy a bird. I want a bathtub of bean soup, a bucket of Brussels sprouts, and a mountain of mashed potatoes. I tell you, I have an appetite." The waiter went back into the kitchen. He returned, carrying enough bean soup to fill a bathtub, enough Brussels sprouts to fill a bucket, and a mountain of mashed potatoes. In no time, the hippopotamus had eaten every last morsel. "Delicious," said the hippopotamus, as he dabbed his mouth with a napkin and prepared to leave. To his surprise, he could not move. His stomach, which had grown considerably larger, was caught between the table and the chair. He pulled and tugged, but it was no use. He could not budge. The hour grew late. The other customers in the restaurant finished their dinners and left. The cooks took off their aprons and put away their pots. The waiters cleared the dishes and turned out the lights. They all went home. The hippopotamus remained there, sitting forlornly at the table. "Perhaps I should not have eaten quite so many Brussels sprouts," he said. He gazed into the gloom of the darkened restaurant. Occasionally, he burped. My. What did we learn from this fable? Too much of anything often leaves one with a feeling of regret. Right? So the hippopotamus, he was greedy. He overate and he couldn't move. Don't be greedy, students. All right. So now what I would like you to do is I would like you to go back and read each fable 2 times, once out loud by yourselves, and then once out loud to mom and dad, or your brothers and sisters. The Poor Old Dog and The Hippopotamus at Dinner. Both have been scanned. When you have finished reading, please complete your response for the day. Okay, today's date is July 16th. Please remember to answer the questions about the fables you heard and read this morning. Use complete sentences. Which fable did you enjoy most? Was it The Poor Old Dog, or was it The Hippopotamus at Dinner? Number 2, who were the main characters in this fable? Number 3, what problems did the characters have? Number 4, what happened at the end of the fable? And number 5, did you agree with the lesson learned at the end of the fable? Please explain your answer. So remember, the lesson that we learned at the end of The Poor Old Dog, it was wishes on their way to coming true will not be rushed. Teaches us to be patient, that good things will happen. Do you agree? Or, if you choose The Hippopotamus at Dinner, the moral was, too much of anything often leaves one with a feeling of regret. Right? Do you think it's important for people to remember not to be greedy? If you do, why? Please explain. And that's it for today, students, for our Period 3 Language Arts lesson in Language Arts. I will see you next in the Period 4 lesson, which is our last Language Arts lesson for this week. If you have any questions, please feel free to email Mr. Waterman or send him a message on Class Dojo. Please remember that if we come back to school next week, which is on Tuesday and Wednesday, to please bring everything with you, all of these responses, and to bring in any workbooks you might have at home, and your spelling tests as well. Take care, stay safe, be well, and I will see you all in just a few minutes. Bye-bye for now.